One of the allures of simple living for me is that it brings a sense of inner peace. And having been through a full on burnout experience as a software engineer in the tech industry, I realize that we live in a crazy and chaotic world. And along with that is a lot of stress. For the longest time, I didn't realize that stress was something that can impact your physical health as well as your mental health. I thought it was just a mental health problem, but it turns out that it also impacts your physical health, as I've experienced in my burnout, which is why it's so important for me on my recovery journey so far, pursuit of simple living, is to cultivate and protect this inner peace so that I can live a healthier, simpler, and more peaceful, quiet life and appreciate the world for what it is, despite living around a society that is filled with stress. And as much as I want to and am drawn to the idea of moving to the middle of nowhere in the woods, by the mountains, have a small house, I don't think that's very realistic for many people, especially not for myself, because I don't do very well with bugs. But I do like the idea though. So in this video, I want to talk about what I've realized so far in my recovery journey in regards to difficult people in the tech space, how it stressed me out, and what I've learned that I've been practicing, which I think has been very helpful for me, and hopefully that it can help you on your journey as well. So, difficult people. As with many things in life, difficult people is highly subjective. What is a difficult person for me is not the same as a difficult person for you. So I'll let you be the judge and to define what that difficult person is. And for what it's worth, I'm probably considered a difficult person by someone out there. Because the thing that I realize is that we're all just trying to figure it out. And that's what makes it hard, because everyone has a different experience in life, has gone through a different journey in life, many with a lot of unresolved childhood trauma or ongoing trauma. And I think that's where the idea of difficult people comes in, when we all see the world in a slightly different way based on our experiences and our traumas. And when we externalize that and project that outwards, some people does it in a way that are more provoking than others and more demanding than others. And I think that's where difficult people comes in, because they want you to see the world the way that they see the world. They want you to agree with them. Whatever the reason is, I think going back to the point, we're all just trying to figure it out, and some people just process it in different ways than others, more provoking than others. So let me share with you some thoughts I have about the tech space in regards to difficult people, in which I think contributed to my stress and ultimately my burnout. So working as a software engineer, correctness and accuracy is crucial. Throughout our entire training, education, everything, we're trained to think about correctness and accuracy. While there are elements of it that I truly appreciate, for example, when things work, there are also elements of the practice of software engineer that introduced a lot of the concept of difficult people. So the first example I'm going to give you is that imagine writing code is like writing an equation. So let's say the outcome is we want an equation that equates to 4. And to get there is very much like an art. Despite the accuracy and correctness of it being 4 as the outcome, what I mean by this is that in order to get to the result of 4, you can go 2 plus 2, or you can go 1 plus 3, or you can go 2 times 3 minus 2. Those all equate to the same result, but how we arrive at that result is very much an art. And for those of you that are software engineers, this example is just to give an idea of what it's like to people who are not software engineers and to kind of understand what I'm trying to say. And I understand that there's a lot more steps and nuances when it comes to software development. I get it. But this is just for the purpose of this video. As a senior software engineer, we're required to debate about which way is better, the best, align that with the company's directives. And where the difficult people comes into play is that some people just loves to disagree and argue, but in the end, it's all about trade-offs. So what makes 1 plus 3 better than 2 plus 2, right? If we really want, we can come up with reasons why one way is better than the other, but there's never a clear-cut solution that one way is the best way. But I think a lot of software engineers fail to recognize that, and for whatever reason, they hold on to their beliefs and would fight tooth and nail for their way of doing things. And if this happens once or twice, I think that'll be okay, because you just move on and you just carry on with life. But the more senior you get, the more you have to be involved in these meetings, and the more you have to have an opinion about the direction of certain solutions. So that's one area where I found myself having to deal with difficult people. Another example is code reviews. So code reviews, I'm going to give another analogy, is like, imagine you gone through the debate of how you write that equation. Let's say you decided on 2 plus 2 equals 4. Writing the code is always the trivial part. Once you've finished writing it, you now have to put it up on a process called code review, where it's similar to proofreaders for publishing a book. So you write a book, in this case, our equation. Code reviews is when your team and external teams come in to review what you've written. And this is another area where I found myself having to deal with difficult people. Again, I find this area to be highly subjective as well. Sure, there are best practices in software, and there are guidelines within a company, design patterns a company adheres to. I get that. But oftentimes, there will be engineers who are so fixated on a specific way of doing things that they would reject your pull request. If it's a very simple PR, usually a go through, but if it's a more complicated one, which often code is a complex one, would require a lot more eyes on it. So that's another area where I found myself having to deal with difficult people. So that's why I felt like at times I was more like a politician than a software engineer. And that's one of the reasons why I quit and never look back, because I don't think I signed up to be a politician. And I'm not trying to villainize difficult people. Again, I recognize that we're all just trying to figure it out, and we're all just trying to process through everything and want people to see the world that we see. But what I think becomes a problem is that when this mindset leaks outside of work. Because in the context of software engineer, being correct and, doing all that to make sure a program works as expected, I fully appreciate that. Science, being accurate, I appreciate that. But when we come out of work and we still have this idea of that things have to be correct and accurate, and I think that's when a lot of times unnecessary and causes a lot of unnecessary stress. Because I think a lot of times in life, there is no right and wrong in how people do things, how people live. And if people have an opinion, that's their opinion. But by telling someone, oh, you're doing it wrong, or what you said is wrong, that causes stress. And what I learned so far is that no matter what you do, where you go, there are always going to be people who want to disagree with you. And that's their way of processing through their life and whatever they're going through. And some people are just more provoking than others. And what I learned that has helped me to deal with that is that oftentimes we don't have to respond to them or accept their invitation for a debate. Yes, they're going to disagree. Yes, they're going to have a different view in the world, and they want you to see it the way they see it. They want you to change instead of changing themselves, because it's less work for them. So one thing that I've been practicing is just walking away from these invitations. Walking away from debates, walking away from provocation. Is that a word? Being provoked. Walking away from being provoked. You don't owe them a response. You respond to them because you're a good human being. You open the door to strangers because you want to respond to them. But in reality, a lot of times, especially outside of work, you don't have to open the door. You don't owe them a response. So by applying that realization that everyone is just processing through life the way they know how to, they're externalizing their experiences, and that you don't owe them a response, and that you can walk away and not accept their invitation for a debate is acceptable, is okay. that has helped me tremendously in keeping and maintaining my peace, because life isn't about being correct. You can live however you want, and chances are you're not right nor wrong. You're just living the life that you chose to and that you see fit for yourself. And that's okay. So the next time someone comes and provokes you or disagrees with you and wants to debate with you and argue with you, just know that it's okay to take a step back and not accept that invitation. Walk away. You're not weak. You're not a loser, because you're choosing inner peace over being correct. Because correctness in a lot of settings can drain your inner peace.